Hello, hello, and welcome to round 2 of the GTE Legends series from AC Friends. Today we are at Shanghai International Circuit. So, hello, welcome, and ni hao. I am your host for today, Cody, and I'm kind of familiar. If you watched the Nürburgring 24 Hours commentary, I helped commentate the first 8 hours of that. But I am filling in, I think, for Mark Rio, who has commentated the last few races with ACF. But today, you guys have me. So, Shanghai is not a track that I personally drive a whole lot, but it does make for some pretty cool racing. We've got about half an hour of practice here before we go into qualifying. The format for this series is all the same. So they got about an hour of practice before the race, and then it is a 15-minute qualifying shootout for the pole position, and then the race will be a 90-minute sprint. There will be, ideally, if you're doing it right, there will be one pit stop for fuel and perhaps tires. And that is the format for today. It's just me today, so bear with me. I don't usually commentate solo, but let's go on ahead and take a look at the starting grid for today. So let's see if I can pull this up correctly. Give me a moment. There we are. So we have Tim Stahl with Watt E Racing. We have Luke Schultz in the Tradition SimSport number 2 car. I'm sorry, not number 2 car. The second Tradition SimSport entry, the number 54 car. The number 52 car, we have Killian Sattler, a former teammate of mine, a good guy. And in the number 108 Porsche Prototype Racer Germany, Ali Ayas. And then we have Lee Russell in the Mellow Motorsports number 80 Corvette. We've got another Mellow Motorsports number 420, a bit cheeky there, Anthony Hilton. Number 471, we have Alex Martinez in the Apollo Racing Team Aston Martin entry. ISC Racing, Andre Wolf, number 86. Number 13, we've gone a little bit faster. I've missed 2. Sasha Gerards, the leader of it all. Watt E Racing, number 23. Number 90, Tradition SimSport, Lucas Homicher. And Heroes in Furious, Aston Martin, his name's cut off, but it's Maximilian. Sack Speed. I'm losing these two. Here we go. Let's go through. This is going by quick. Number 666, Christian Inunuzo in the Corvette. Mellow Motorsports number 444, Adam Pridgeon. Hill Knights Performance, Marco Convertini in the number 248. Number 212, Apex Racing, Romulo Aruda. Andy Park in number 164, Porsche. And number 423, Daniel Christoph. Nova Racing, and number 225, Roach Motorsport, Roberto Lorente. And that rounds out your entry list. And I do apologize for the few that I missed there. But hey, look, it restarts. But here we have practice. We've got a lap around. Looks like we're coming in to the end of this lap, so let's go and do the onboard. And let's take a lap around Shanghai. If I can get my bearings. Goodness. It was... which car? Number 7. There we go. Let's go on board with Andy Romanowski. Here we are. Okay, so we're going around the little tight complex here of turns 1 through 4. This is a very technical section. And then we come out onto kind of our first straight after the start-finish straight of turn 5. And then we go into a very, very sharp hairpin turn for turn 6. And then here we have a complex of very, very sweeping, very fast S-bends. They've got to let off the throttle a little bit here as we go. And then these Titan, there's actually quite a few things in Shanghai circuit here that end up tightening. It makes for some pretty interesting racing, but makes it a very technical circuit to drive. There's a lot as a driver where you're like, oh gosh, I gotta wait to get on the power. But here we come through the last complex of corners, turn 11 through turn 12 here. And this one, see, you gotta wait. Now you can get on the power, but then you gotta kind of wait a little bit more. And then now finally you can open up the throttle onto the start-finish straight. And it's a really, really long start-finish straight. Expect very, very high speeds. A lot of passing going on through the straights, depending on how people perform in that last turn, that turn 13. That will be one to watch. And then here coming around, that is a lap around Shanghai International Circuit. Thank you, Andy Romanowski. So being GTE legends, it is, of course, not... It's weird to say, it's not the modern machinery anymore. This is a best of the 2010s GTE, and that of course includes the Porsche 911 RSR, the Corvette C7R. But as you can see, we've also got a few others. We've got the Aston Martin. That was a pretty common one. One that I'm really, really excited is on the grid. Is the there we go. You see one, and then we saw the other. It is the Dodge Viper GTSR. This was a staple in the early days of the United Sports Car Challenge. What was it called? United Sports Car Championship, IMSA. After the Grand Am merger, I think there was a couple of Vipers that raced in Grand Am, and then in the United IMSA, they started racing the SRT Viper. And I think this car is just so dang cool. And of course, whenever Dodge stopped making the Viper, they stopped being able to race it. And so its career was somewhat short-lived. I think it was 2012 through 2015. Definitely one of the early GTE cars. Now, there are some other GTE cars that I really love that aren't represented here. The BMW Z4 GTE was another IMSA racer. I actually can't remember if that car raced in the World Endurance Championship at the time, but it definitely raced in IMSA. That car is super cool. But whoa, running very, very wide here. It is practice where you test the limits, and I think he found it. But yeah, we'll definitely see drivers trying to use all the real estate that they can on the outside of that. I think he just took a little bit too much liberty there. You can also see the lockup there. And we can also see that Andy Romanowski set, the guy that we were on board with, set a new fast lap here in practice. But you could see some cars locking up their tires. That's one of those cool things about GTE that I really feel that we've lost with GT3. There's no ABS in GTE cars. There's traction control, but there is no anti-lock braking systems. And so that requires a little bit more skill going into the braking zone, which is why GT3 cars don't have them, because dentists need to be able to drive them safely. But it makes the racing with these just so interesting, because you can't just push the throttle all the way down and then just slam on the brake right after. You have to be strategic with your braking, and yeah, you have the risk of a lockup, the risk of flat spotting your front tires, and Assetto Corsa simulates that pretty well. And I've got to say that Shanghai, though I haven't driven it a whole lot, I have watched a few Porsche Carrera Cup Asia races, and as they come around the straightaway here, they hit some pretty high top speeds. And that's for the Cup cars. GTE cars, significantly faster. And so I want to see just how fast we end up on the straight. So 285 kilometers an hour, it looks like. And let's see. I also want to pull up the comparison. There we are. So now we can see here, and of course this is showing your practice times, but we can see lap deltas. So we can see how fast or slow these guys are going compared to their best laps, and then I believe when we get into qualifying, this will compare against the next guy. Yeah, let's see, and then here we are, lap times. Yeah. So okay. Right now, in person, popped over there. There we go. The fastest time so far has been set by Andy Romanowski, who we're on board with for the lap around, and that was a 1 minute 58.851. That is very, very quick. I believe the GT3 lap time world record is like around that or a little bit slower than that. I gotta look up what it is for GTE. I had looked at the GT3 ones, but LMGTE, yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So that's very funny. Yeah, the GT3 1 minute 59 at Shanghai was set in 2026, and the LMGTE was 2 minutes, and that was set in 2019. So yeah, GT3s, as their performance has crept up, are now quicker around a lap here at Shanghai than the GTEs. But such is the passage of time. Things change. Here we have the Corvette C7R. This is Mellow Motorsports, and this is driven by Mr. Hilton, the very cheeky number 420. The C7R is just such a beautiful car. This is a strong contender. This is my top 10 favorite cars. This is a go-to when I drive in Assetto Corsa. It's just, there's just nothing to hate about it. It's a massive V8 in the front, naturally aspirated, just everything you need, nothing you don't. And man, just look at that thing. It looks so aggressive. It sounds amazing. And I can't say I'm not a little biased towards the car. Here we are. Okay, I got this working. So this here compares the cars' performance against each other, and let's see if I can get it to pull up proper. Well, I was able to get it to pull up for those guys. I'm trying to get it to pull up for the top guys here, and I'm having a little bit of trouble. I can get it to pull up for one, but not for both. Oh well. 10 drivers on the race server now. I think they said it was around 14 or 15 was the entry for the race, so we're waiting for a few to hop in. But we've got another 19 minutes left of practice to go before we get into quali. here we are, showing the best laps here on the tower. Oh, and it's jumping around. Showing the best laps here on the tower. Convertini, number 248, Ford GT LM GTE is currently taking the fastest time by, I guess, about 4/10 of a second, or 3.5 tenths. 3.5 tenths. But you can definitely see Romanowski and Hill Knight's performances. Convertini are definitely two really, really quick drivers around the circuit here. But you can see both of them right now are running a bit further back behind their previous one. We saw Romanowski had locked up a bit. That was that smoke that you saw. You see those brakes just glowing. And whoa, big collision, big off for the Corvette. And they hop back, and that's one of those moments where we're really glad that the cars are virtual and everyone is safe, because that's a hard hit. I was worried that they were going to collect Romanowski there. You can see, whoa, a bit of a slip there as they go along. Again, this is practice. It's not qualifying, so drivers are, even right up until qualifying, testing things, trying to find new ways to get just a little bit faster. I know I've never felt like I've had enough practice time, especially whenever I get right up to the day. I could practice for hours and hours and hours, and then I get right up there and I'm like, wait, hey, if I do this, I get like a tenth faster, or half a tenth faster around this corner. I'm going to start doing that, and then inevitably you try to push that just a little bit more, and then you screw up real hard. Happens to us all. Which in these cars, oftentimes screwing up real hard is locking the fronts, and I think we're seeing that with a lot of these drivers. It's a natural part of pushing these cars so hard in sim racing. That Dodge Viper V10 engine there. And then I'm very curious what Hilton is doing here. Came out of the pits, pulled off, and then teleported back into the pits. I'm unsure what in the world is happening here. Pulls off again. Huh. Okay, and then we're back to the pits. Interesting. Here we are. There's a comparison. Alpha Tail, not driving an Alpha, driving a Porsche. There's no Alpha GTEs. And Russell in the Mellow Motorsports Corvette. You can see their comparisons. Whoa. Big jump, the 650-second comparison. But we're seeing their comparisons to, it looks like, the best lap. And then, yeah, all right, this 420 Corvette of Hilton is having some sort of an issue, it looks like. But yeah, let's go back on with Andy Romanowski in the Ferrari. Now, the Ferrari 488 GTE was interesting because it shared the same exact platform with the GT3 car, and you didn't have to change a whole lot to go from GTE to GT3 spec. And so we actually saw that there were some chassis, especially in GTE AM, that would switch back and forth over the course of a race season, and they would reuse the same chassis for both GTE and GT3 competition. I believe the Aston Martin was the same way. The second generation Aston Martin GTE car, which would be the Gen 3 Aston Martin Vantage, the one from 2018 onwards, which we do have here in this race. There we are. There's one. And so 13 minutes left here in practice, and hey, there we go. We've got 3 cars up on the quality comparison here. So we can see Park trailing about 6 seconds behind the thing, but he really picking back up. Sharif, not sure. Team Siazu, Dodge Viper, the one that we had covered and talked about earlier, about 1.2 seconds off of the fastest pace. And there's Andy Romanowski, currently about 2.961 seconds off, but I think he's in the pits, so I'm not sure where that number's coming from. Yeah, I'm not sure where that number's coming from. Show your onboard HUD here. This is such a cool view because you really get to see, first off, very much what the driver is seeing, and then just this telemetry is just incredibly valuable. We can see the steering input, you can see the gear they're in, the speed they're going, their RPMs, and really love seeing the pedal input there. You can see getting on the throttle there, tapping the brakes to get the car rotated. Here we are, we're coming around. This is the start-finish straight. Let's see how fast the Dodge Viper gets on the straightaway. 260 kilometers an hour, 270, topping out at 280 kilometers an hour, about the same as the, I think it was Ferrari that we had been looking at. And looking at the best lap of the cars out on track, looks like it's not showing us the best lap for the cars that are not out on track, but Park currently has a 1 minute 57.404, which from my memory of the other times is very good. So he has picked up a lot of pace here in this practice session, set a good time. Of course, not as important as whenever they go into qualifying, and it becomes very important to set a good time. So I have a fun fact about Shanghai International Circuit. So you can see up in the top right corner the track map of Shanghai, and you might wonder why it's shaped like that. And it is actually inspired by the Chinese character for Shang, which is the first character in the name of Shanghai. And so now you know. We saw a bit of a squirrely moment there for the number 60 Viper, and that ends up being a yellow for that sector. And whoo, got a little bit loose there, getting the car rotated here. This is with Christoph here in the Ferrari. Nice and simple livery on that car, but a very pretty one. Good color choices. Pull up the chat so I can say hi to some of you guys. Oh yeah, Seb says, I wish everyone who participates in today's race an awesome time. We are hoping for the same thing, Seb. Oh, we've got a Viper parked on the side of the road here, triggering a yellow. The number 917 Viper gets going again. Not too many drivers out on track at the moment, but our total entry has climbed to 13. There's 7 minutes, 30 seconds left to practice. And I imagine we might get 1 or 2 more coming in, but probably not many more than that for today's race. Shanghai is a good track, but not a very popular one. And so I think this one might have one of the lower entry lists. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is AC Friends. We are a racing league. You can follow the link in the description to the Discord if you want to get on grid and get involved. And if you don't want to get involved, then hop in the commentary booth and get involved that way. Because this is fun, and I kind of wish there was someone else. But there is not someone else, and so it is just me, and so you're stuck with me today. Haha. Oh gosh. 6. That's that. Oh, let's hop on with the Porsche here, who seems to be on a tear. Oh, right up until that final corner there, and just missed out on setting the best lap by a 10th. But here we can see on board, you can see the Delta chasing improvement right here, about a 10th off, but he's finding moments where he's faster, finding moments where he's slower. That looks like he's going to lose a few tenths there. This is definitely, of cars that go around miles-long circuits, it feels like a game of inches every time you're doing it. Inches and tenths of seconds. There we have a Corvette rejoining safely, letting the white Ferrari by. And there's the white Ferrari, number 13 of Maj. I'm going to butcher names. That's just a thing I do. Derive some humor from it if you want, but I'm going to do that. What I presume to be Sasha in the chat says they're searching for new commentary mates for me and the others. Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's definitely much more fun with someone else. I feel like I'm holding down the fort, but definitely I think that the conversation happens a whole lot better whenever I'm not talking to myself. But hey, you know what I am doing? I'm talking to all you guys, and that's fun too. About 3 minutes, 45 seconds left of practice here to go, and then we can get to the good stuff. Qualifying shootout. 15 minutes of the fastest drivers doing the best laps around Shanghai. And then after that, we'll go racing. And then it really gets fun. Oh, we've got a incident. Christoph has run a little bit wide there in the Ferrari and then decides to teleport on back. It's like Klein in the somewhat psychedelic liveried Watt Racing Aston Martin had a little bit of an off, but they are back going now. Very nice. See, it looks like as we near the end of practice, looks like we've got 14 drivers on the grid, and you can definitely make an interesting race with 14 drivers. It's not, the 50 some odd that we had for the Nürburgring 24 hours, but, it is a sprint series, and sprint series are usually around like 15 to 24 in a grid, and so I feel like we're doing pretty good. We're pretty well set up for some good racing here. And if we look at the best laps, everybody's pretty close to each other. Minute 58.6 for minute 59, minute 59, 5 and 6. Amateur and Maj are 5th and 6th right now. They're very, very close. I keep having to hit that because it keeps rotating. But yeah, staying on the best lap there. 2 minutes, 2-minute 1. Everyone's within a few seconds of each other, with the exception of Park here, who has proven to be just an absolute alien with that 1 minute 57.5. That is very, very impressive around this circuit. As we covered earlier, it is faster than what the LMGTEs did back when they last raced here in real life. Klein again with an off. The Aston Martin having an incident. Yet to set a time, Klein. And so I think that he's got his work cut out for him. He did join a little later, I think. Speaking of joining later, we've got a new Aston Martin driver, I believe, Wolf. Who has hopped in. ISC racing car there. Play on. There we are. Park is on a tear and sets a new fast lap, it looks like. At least according to the lap delta there. Right at the end of practice. So the server will set after all of the drivers have come back in. Here we see, hey, most of them in a bunch now of the drivers who are out. They are then going to come in. We are going to swap over to the qualifying session, and then we get some fun. And I'm going to use the opportunity to ask a question. Okay. Last few drivers coming back around. Here is the Team CSU. see a zoo of Sheriff. I don't know, man. The Dodge Viper, number 60, coming around to do their last few laps, or last few corners of their last lap. Better not have a few more laps to go. Practice is over. I will say I want to share. I went karting the other day. Did a rental karting league race, and in that, we did some practice laps, and the way that we were like coming back around, the setup for the pit entry was really strange. We were basically coming in the pit exit, and then exiting at the pit entrance and coming back around. And you weren't doing that during the race, obviously, but that was how we were setting it up. Just the order the things were going. I think the rental carts had been set up to run like clockwise, and then we were running counterclockwise for the league race. And we all go around the last lap, and they wave the checkered flag to show the session's over. And then there's a dude who's like pointing like downwind, downstream of the track, and I read that as do an in lap. Everyone would read that as do an in lap, right? They're like pointing, no, keep going. They're standing at the pit entrance. They're pointing, they're saying keep going. So I go around and I look behind me and there's nobody there. And then I come back around and everyone came in at that pit exit. They all entered through the pit exit. Nobody had mentioned that was going to be the plan, and I think everyone else just interpreted that. So I ended up getting a spare lap around. That was very awkward because I came in and like everyone else had already gotten out, had their helmets off and all that. But I don't know why that reminded me of that, but that did, and I just wanted to share so you guys can all laugh at me. We got a lovely view of the stream car, which is also our safety car. I don't think we're running a safety car proper, but this is our stream car. It's pretty. It's Porsche. It's got the ACF livery on it with the Porsche 75th anniversary. Yeah, good stuff. Got a few minutes of break here as we wait. And so, if you guys know me, you know I like looking at liveries. And so, there we go. Okay. Now qualifying session starts, and we could spend time looking at liveries, but we got cars going out on track, so never mind. Convertini is first out on the track. They'll all be coming out on track, but Convertini beats everyone else to the punch. And let's take a look at how he does. Of course, they'll have to do their outlaps first. In qualifying on your outlap, the number one thing that you want to do is get a little bit of distance on the guy in front of you, because if he's going to end up going slower than you, you don't want him slowing down. And so what I would not be doing right now is what Park is doing, which is following kind of closely. Like, he's getting a little bit of distance. He's doing better now, but I would be like lifting and coasting through here and getting a lot more distance than that. Sheriff on the outlap has a bit of an off, it seems. Don't want to switch that camera. There we go. But I guess if you're going to do it, the outlap is the place to invalidate your lap. Park also having an incident, and seems to have gotten around the Ford, so maybe the Ford had an incident and it just didn't register. Or maybe they just let him by. But here we are, full speed. Let qualifying begin shortly. They've got one more corner to go. And right as they come around here, they'll be coming along. And let's hop on board for our first driver to F6? Yeah, F6 cam. So this is full speed. Set the fastest lap you can. No time to screw around. Hard into the brakes. Hopefully they've warmed up their tires a bit. And they're looking good through here. Yellow in sector 3, some of the drivers. Yellow in sector 2. But it looks like they're going. Maybe they just ran wide. They got 29, 30 seconds in so far. Let's take a look here and do our comparisons. Here is the number 248 Ford of Hill Knights Performance, Convertini. .43664 in that first sector. I want to compare that to Park, 43.176, which is a bit quicker. Schultz had an off. Schultz is going through the grass. Not how you want your qualifying to be. In early practice, before we had gone live, in early practice, Schultz was very, very loose, I will say. Here we are coming around to the start finish. We're going to start getting our first few laps here. I want to see best lap. So Park set a 1 minute 57.939. Convertini a bit slower with the 1 minute 58.3. So Park definitely set a really, really good time to beat there. 1 minute 57.939. And that becomes the benchmark that everything else compares against. Here is after the first couple of, well, I guess we haven't even gone through our first full 2 laps, but after our first lap, here is your current quali leader, Park, 1 minute 57.939. Again, that time to beat. It looks like in order to be competitive, a good shorthand is a sub 2 minute lap time. We've got our first few drivers here. Oh, Romanowski is showing down here for some reason or another. But he has set a pretty quick competitive lap, 1 minute 59.165. It's showing him as in a different class, which is a little strange. You can see the classes, which we don't usually use here, because there's no classes other than GTE. But yeah, he's in his own class, which is odd for this. So let's look at the overall, and so you can see Romanowski in there with the rest of them. Romanowski sets a new lap. 1 minute 58.8. And Park also set a new lap, shaving off 4/10. 1 minute 57.5 becomes the new fastest time to beat. That Porsche 911 RSR. Interesting fun fact about that Porsche. So Porsche 911 enthusiasts will always tell you that rear engine is what makes the Porsche so great. However, Porsche 911 RSR mid-engined. They took advantage of a little bit of leeway in the rules to kind of shift around the engine placement, and they just straight up moved the engine on the Porsche 911 RSR in front of the rear axle. And so that is probably the only factory mid-engine Porsche 911, and it, for a long time, was the fastest Porsche 911, which just goes to show that, you know, mid-engine is kind of where it's at. So Convertini, 1 minute 58.351. Sharif, 1 minute 58. Whoa! Cutting to Sharif. Contact with number 196 of Bunge. And the contact in qualifying is not what you want. That was, you know, I'm certain accidental, but it definitely doesn't do any person any favors. Park is on a tear. Look at this. He is on track to go even quicker if he continues around the way he's gone. Look at that, 0.2 off so far. There's still a lot of lap to run, but this goes to show that there is potential for improvement yet for not just Park, but every one of these drivers. And it looks like as we've gone on, just about half the field, a little over half the field, is now in the sub-2 range, which is a good sign for close competition and good racing. So here we can see number 1 Park compared with number 2 Convertini. Convertini right now running almost a second off of the pace set by Park. Overall, everyone's about 5 laps through qualifying with about 5 minutes left to go. Getting about 2 minutes a lap in. It looks like we'll have a chance for about 2 more laps, 2, maybe 3, depending on where some drivers are in their current lap. But it is looking like Park has a very, very healthy lead. We saw some locking up there, a lot of smoke coming off of the Ford GT LMGTE front tires there. We're going to see that, but that's definitely not something you want to do over the course of a 90-minute race. That's 2 full stints, and if you lock your fronts, it will create a flat spot, and then you will be more likely to lock your fronts in the future. And then, before you know it, if you're not careful, you will just be going bump, 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 and you will feel that through the wheel, and you will feel that with the lack of grip that you suddenly have at the front of the car. Maj sets a new personal fastest lap here on track. No one so far has been able to touch Park's Porsche. He has been unstoppable. You can see here Lucas Schultz's Porsche compared to Park's, and though Park is running, 300ths off of your best time is pretty close, and looks like he's kind of even fluctuating on being right up there and beating his time maybe, but you can see Schultz trailing 1.2 seconds behind. If you're Park right now, you're feeling pretty good about sitting on pole. Andy Romanowski, another very, very quick driver. He was fastest in qualifying through most of qualifying until Park took the cake. But he is currently sitting in 3rd place. We have 5 drivers under 1 minute 59. See Romanowski running a bit wide there, invalidates his lap. There in sector 2. Coming down this long straightaway, It's not the start-finish straight, but it is the longest start, or the longest straightaway that we have on the circuit. And then here, as we come to the start-finish, this is the second longest that we have on the circuit. Lucas Schultz put in a very, very quick lap, that last lap there, and moves himself into third, bumps Andy Romanowski off of the podium for qualifying. And Lucas Schultz moves on to the second row of the grid. Convertini runs wide and validates his lap. And that looks like, let's see where he's at. He'll have probably only one more opportunity to eclipse Park. And then taking a look at Park, he is running a little bit quicker than his best time right now. So there is more time to be gained if you're Park. There's potentially more time to be gained for everyone else, but Park is showing promise. He's got 2 corners between himself and the next one, and ooh, that was very, very loose going through there, but he retains just barely his lead on his former self. And yes, it's looking like just by a couple hundredths he will improve his time. And this will be his last lap, but Park gets a little bit quicker here at Shanghai and makes everyone else's job of beating him for pole a little bit harder. Look at Convertini, he's got one last chance. But if you look at the lap delta down there for Park, Park's going even quicker than the time that he set. Loses a little bit of that there, but gains it again. It's just kind of how things go whenever you're testing different lines. You're not going to be 100% the entire time, but yeah, it looks like Park is finding new ways to improve even on his best. Checkered flag is out for qualifying. Drivers will finish their last lap here. Lucas Schultz has crossed the line. Bunge crosses the line, and the number 196 Aston Martin down in 12th. Line has a really, really rough pit entry there, and is coming in very quick. But yeah, Park running about a 10th off, there we go. Hey, okay. Sometimes you got to go slow at the beginning to go fast at exit, and it looks like Park just at the death has found a way to get even a little bit quicker. Look at that, a 10th faster. Park crosses the line after the checkered flag has come out with 1 minute 57.388 is your pole time. That is going to be, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to guess that that's going to be the fastest lap of qualifying. Park sitting very comfortably on pole. Let's see. Here we are, Hilton currently sitting in 10th, rounding out your top 10 of 15 drivers. Mellow Motorsports, the very pretty C7R. And here we have it with qualifying finished. These drivers are finishing up their last laps. Bunge's Heroes and Furious. His team, number 196 Aston Martin, coming into pit. And so now we go to the race, and it is Park in first, Romianowski in second, rounding out the top of the grid. Convertini in third, Schultz in fourth, Sheriff fifth, Maj sixth. That's row 3. Row 4, Russell and Klock. Hammacher and Hilton are row 5. And that is your top 10. So we will have a short break as we set the set up the pins, the bowling pins, to go racing here at Shanghai International Circuit. And I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Cody, and I'm happy to be commentating here. So 90-minute race. These cars' fuel tanks are good for about 45 to 50 minutes of range, around there, roughly. And so that will mean that they will have to pit. And if you're like, oh, hey, no, when I drive my car, it's good for longer than that. They're running 137% fuel consumption on the server today. And so that basically mandates that right around the halfway point, you're going to have to pit for fuel. So one pit stop on the docket for today. Hello, Streamcar. But yeah, this is going to be some really good close racing. As we can see here, or as we could see here, I guess now that everyone's in, we can't really see the best lap, but some good stuff here. And then looking at the timing band, everyone's the leader. Everyone is winning. leader. Love it. I assume that's just because there's no data being sent to the applications right now, because there's nothing going on right now. So we are staring at Park, your pole sitter for the GTE Legends race at Shanghai. And here we are, reshuffling around for the race. I'm seeing Romianowski showing as being in the lead, but Park is actually ahead of him on track position, as you can see there. So, we will be counting down to the race shortly. I see on the countdown timer 1 minute 35 and 16 seconds. The race is going to be 90 minutes, so that's 1 hour 30. And so I'm going to assume that in 5 minutes we will be going to green. So this gives the drivers one last opportunity to go through their setup, and just kind of tweak things a little bit. They've got a little HUD within Assetto Corsa that they can do that while they're sitting in their car. And I am excited. This is one of those things. You're settling in for 90 minutes. You got your gloves on. You got your fan going in your room because it's hot right now as you're sitting at your racing sim. And soon you will be racing full bore against a bunch of really good drivers. But just for now, there is calm, there is quiet, there's not a whole lot going on. This will be a standing start, so whenever they start moving, they will be going. It is not going to be a do a lap and then you're done. This is going to be the gun goes off and we go green. And hopefully we stay green through turn 1. Yeah, 16 turns around Shanghai International Circuit. You can see the... you actually can't see the UI track map very well, but nice and conveniently, we've got the signboard up there with the Shanghai International Circuit track map. They say no formation lap that's setting up for Carnage in T1. Now, you know, I may have spoken out of turn there. There might be a formation lap, but it is definitely going to be a standing start. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember. I did read through the driver briefing, but I did that last night and I was tired. So, yeah, so I couldn't tell you 100%. I'm sure as the season goes on, I'll get much more used to the format. But I didn't get the chance to see Road Atlanta except for a few highlights, and the highlights were very interesting. There were some fun incidents that Andy Romanowski took me through yesterday through the replay file of that race. But yeah, it looks like we've got 2 minutes until we hit the 90 minutes mark to go. All right. You know, for a Tilke track, this is one that I think will make for good racing. It's a tricky track. It's not always the most exciting. Again, I think I mentioned all those turns that tighten like midway through. But I do think that especially at the ends of these straights and at the like the early middle of these straights, as drivers are accelerating off the turns, I think we're going to see some really, really interesting stuff going on. Less than a minute to go. Right now we're looking at about 40 seconds. Park sits on pole, Romanowski a close second. You can't trust the timing for that exactly, just by the grid positioning, I think. Convertini in third, then Russell, and then Sharif, then Schultz, and then Klock, and then Madge, and then Hilton, and then Hamacher. So reverse of what you're seeing there. Grid lights are on. Engines are going and lights out and away we go. Here we go. Everyone jockeying for position as we go through turn 1 here. Schultz there on the inside pushes out Convertini. And it is Park still up in front. We've got drivers off down below. A lot of shuffling around going on. But here we go. We're, for the most part, clean up front. Wouldn't you know it? There's a lot of cars locking the fronts. Cold tires, no tire warmers, I believe. So cold tires, cold brakes. And here we go. Take a look at that grid as we go on. Chains for position with the fifth place here. Russell got ahead of the Viper. It's Corvette versus Dodge, some American muscle there as we go. Dodge in the Ferrari. I may have misspoken there. Maj in the Ferrari now overtakes Hovicher in the Aston Martin for 7th. And here you can see Park going down the straightaway. Lots of jockeying for position there at the back. But Park is 1.2 seconds away from Romanowski in second already. And whoa, Schultz with a hard dive bomb kind of misses the corner there a little bit, misses the braking zone, and loses the position to Romanowski. He just kind of did a slide that was, what was the virtual insanity, Jamiroquai? A lot of shuffling going on still at the back there. Schultz makes his way, trying to stave off Romanowski. There it is, Ferrari versus Porsche side by side as they go. It looks like Schultz has the advantage going into the corner. He staves him off for the moment. Park is way ahead of everybody else. That's that pace he is doing. Practice laps out there right now, just hot lapping. Everyone else is racing. Park is 3 seconds ahead of the other drivers. But here, second and back, it is a fight. Let's see Romanowski on board as he chases Schultz. Oh, there's a collision back here. Some sort of collision. Maj has a hard off. He has gone down all the way down to 15th from right around 10th or 9th or so. But the battle does still continue. Not exactly raging on as it was, but there's a pass here for 8th. Lots going on here at the start of the Shanghai GTE Legends race. Everyone here on the long straightaway here at Shanghai doing some incredible speeds here at the end of the straight into the braking zone. Who will it be? Whoa, buddy! some braking zones, people. Russell gets the pass. Romanowski down, has a very, very bad complex of corners there in sector 3. And whoa, big off. Sharif out of nowhere, just a hard left turn. I didn't see contact there, but Sharif going into turn 1 just started going right a little bit and then just jinked left. He may have locked the tires in the brakes and oversteered and overcorrected. May have been the case. I'm not quite sure what may have caused that. Romanowski now has had an off. It looks like it's not quite as dramatic. But yeah, as I mentioned, GTE's a little bit trickier. Oh, collision. Hilton and Wolf. Hilton is stopped. Wolf is stopped. They're very close to the camera, so I can't quite see what's going on. But yeah, it's the Corvette and the Aston Martin of Hilton. Oh, Hilton has retired from the race. We're down to 14 drivers. That appeared to be a hard quit. So I guess he sustained some level of damage that he could not come back from, or at least something that he could not come back from. Park has increased his lead to 6 seconds. You can see him, the small red dot, way ahead of Lucas Schultz, who we are observing here. Convertini in third. Romanowski was right up there. He was, I think, second for a short moment of time, then fifth. Now, after getting well, let's call it shuffled back. Anyways, the top 5 drivers are all still pretty quick here in the mid-pack. We've got a pass here, Klein, and Park, Schultz, Convertini. There's not really a change there. Yeah, we've had some. Okay, that did an interesting thing. Yeah, Park is still ahead of everyone else. The Aston Martin, the very tie-dye Aston Martin of Watt Racing, and the BMW have been trading positions here in the battle for 7th. Whoa, BMW has a oversteer moment, I think. Almost gets into the Dodge Viper. I think they did touch, if so, only briefly. This has certainly been an action-packed first few laps. Can you believe it's only lap 4? This is honestly excellent racing overall. We're seeing some really, really good battles going on here. The driving has not been like the standards. I don't think have been bad, but they have been aggressive. These guys are really, really fighting. So here is that Dodge Viper that very nearly got collected. He is now knocking on the door of the tie-dye Watt Racing of Klein. I'm going to call it tie-dye because it's very psychedelic colors there on the Aston Martin. I quite like it. It's very, very creative. But yeah, here we go. Dodge Viper, big ol' American V8 engine. See what he can do. He is now gaining as they go in. We saw some locking, I think, from the Corvette up there a little bit higher up. See some big old backfires. Oh! Aston Martin botched the corner, gave the Dodge Viper a chance, but the Dodge Viper then locked his tires, and they both ended up making a mistake, and so neither were able to capitalize, but neither really suffered either. Park, look at that, 7 seconds ahead, 8 seconds, 13 seconds it's showing ahead of Convertini. It is definitely a battle for second at the moment. Here we have some really, really good racing. Klein had a slight wiggle, I think, showed as off for a split second. But now these drivers, I think, are realizing that, hey, we gotta actually gotta race the full 90 minutes here, and we're seeing drivers kind of spread out a little bit. That's going to happen naturally on pace. Here we have Ferrari on Ferrari action. This is down in 11th, but certainly the closest that we've gotten. It looks like Maj is going to pull off a move here. Yes, Maj pulls it off for 11th, although I say pulls it off. That's very premature. They're side by side. And on top speed, on pace, Krzysztof, I'm not sure, again. I'm going to butcher names. I told you at the beginning. Had been able to pull ahead and pulls a very defensive move, but then runs wide and gives Maj the opportunity to get alongside again. But Krzysztof seems to have a better exit and is able to hold him off. Yeah, Krzysztof is here up. He's been able to retain the position thus far. But Ferrari, equal machinery. Whoa, and a touch, I think. Yeah. Maj bumps into the back of Christoph, which I think just pushed Christoph ahead a little bit. Thanks for the extra speed, but it spins Maj, and Maj ends up losing the position to the Aston Martin of Bunge, who then I believe also is able to get around. And then they both have issues, and they're all just trading positions. All sorts of topsy-turvy world back here in the battle for 11th. Things have calmed down a little bit up at the front. Everyone's about 2 seconds, except for Romanowski is trying to catch up to and pass Russell. And Russell with the, I think, what was that? Not Tradition Sim Sport. Mellow Motorsports Corvette is really having his mirrors filled by this Ferrari of Romanowski. This is very, very pretty livery, Romanowski. And Romanowski on the long straightaway passes the Corvette on top speed, but then botches does not stick the landing and locks his tires going into the hairpin corner. And then is able to kind of retain a little bit, but not quite. It's a battle. Boy, it's a battle. But look at that, Romanowski now ahead of Russell, really showing himself to be the quicker driver and is now working his way to try and catch up to Schultz. And it actually looks like he's doing that pretty rapidly. If we look at the battle with Schultz and Romanowski, that dropped down pretty quick. Or actually, no, I think it might just be a result of the timing of the way that it counts the laps. I think it is. Oh yeah, okay, it is. There's a lot of fluctuation there at the end of Sector 1 with the lap deltas. Never mind. It looked a lot more interesting than it was. It still is interesting, but it looked more interesting. But yeah, Russell looks like in a bit more stable section. He's about a second back from Romanowski. Romanowski is about 6.5, 5.5. See, again, it looks like he's really, really gaining on him. It went from 7 to 2 seconds, but I think that's just the way that this track is made. No fault of anybody here. But yeah, definitely had me fooled. But one thing that is not misleading is Park's massive lead here on everyone else. Look at that. Park is sitting very, very comfortably out in front. He is going into the next corner here as everyone else is coming out of the hairpin of the previous corner. Look at that. Nobody else in his mirrors until there. He's already more than halfway, all the way down the straightaway before any of the other drivers come anywhere near close. So this is very much Park's race to lose. He was fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying. He has led since the start of the race. His dominance is unquestioned here at Shanghai. It's a battle for second for everyone else. Well, let's take a look at amateur. Aston Martin driver, we have not really taken a look at a whole lot. Driver for Tradition Sim Sport. This is the fourth entry of Tradition Sim Sport. They've got quite a few cars here. Here we have the Viper of Johnsik and the number 917 Viper there. Let's show. There we are. You can see a little bit of trickery trying to save the car there. Oh, back into this camera. And he's actually on a fast lap right now. Or no, this is the BMW. BMW's on a fast lap right now. This is Clock with Sweet Spot Racing, the number 46. lap 8 here of many more. And these drivers are now running it a little bit less like a all-out battle. You can see some battle scars there on the side of the Aston Martin number 196 of Bunge. Here again, your leader is just dominant. And then let's take a look at Russell here. This is the Corvette C7R, running about 2 seconds behind Romanowski. This is our closest matchup on track right now. Klein and Hamacher. I'm going to, there we go, manually override. And you can see he's gotten ever closer to the Aston Martin of Hamacher. This is the Aston Martin of Klein you're on board with. And yeah, let's follow these guys for a moment, because this is certainly the closest action we've had on track. And look at that, knocking on the door. These drivers running very similar lap times. Hamacher a little bit faster than Klein was. I'm sorry, no, a little bit slower than Klein was. 0.2 slower. I misread. This braking zone has been an interesting journey for a lot of drivers, and we can see here Hamacher locking the fronts. Lots and lots of tire smoke. And even if he doesn't lose a lot of time in the moment to Klein, look at that, they're alongside each other. He's making a move, and he gets it done right over the start-finish straight. That was really smooth. That was incredibly smooth as they go. And Sheriff, the Dodge Viper, is also caught up, and we've got a three-way fight here going on. Sheriff now the one to watch, and Hamacher may, if he's not careful, may end up sliding down 2 positions instead of just the 1. And it looks like he does it. Whoa, a really smooth move by Sheriff, but wasn't able to make it stick. They're alongside each other. It's still in question. The Viper has the inside line and is able to get ahead of Hamacher. You can see the side of that Viper from the start has picked up some battle scars, as I described them earlier. But yeah, he makes the move. Hamacher down 2 positions from 6th down to 8th in very short order. But you can see Hamacher is not giving up, although he is sliding way wide there. You're going to lose some time doing that. A little bit of movement down at the very bottom, but I do think that we're going to stay with this fight because it is the more interesting fight here, the battle for 6th. I also want Park. It is showing on my screen is like way ahead, like 5 seconds ahead, ever still. So that has not changed, but is nonetheless still impressive. Looking at lap times here, Sheriff has the faster lap, and so does Clock in comparison to Hamacher. And so I think that not only does Hamacher have to worry about you know, chasing down the positions that he's just lost, he's also going to have to really keep an eye on his mirrors, because the BMW, though they're, you know, several seconds behind at the moment, they're expected to be gaining if things continue the way that they have been. Although I say that, and I think Gluck just had an incident, and yeah, so we might have to wait a little bit longer for that prediction to come true. Here we are back to Schultz, running in third place. Been a minute since we checked in on him. He's just running a good race right now. 6 seconds behind Convertini. Convertini 11 seconds behind the leader. Although I say that, and it's going to fluctuate quite a bit. Right now it's showing 5 seconds. But then, of course, they will get back onto another, you know, straightaway. Right now they're in a hairpin, and yeah, there you go. And then it rubber bands to 20 seconds, and so it's a little bit unpredictable once they get this far away from each other to really predict exactly how many seconds they are. You just kind of have to pick a spot on the track and measure them right then and there. But hey, we're back here with Hamacher in 8th, and beautiful livery Aston Martin. See, whoa, got really, really slippy there. Now he's very low in the rev range compared to the rest. You can see that delta climbing, which is not the direction you want it to go, as opposed to the car in front, Klein, who is right around his normal lap delta, right about the pace that he's been running, within a few hundredths of a second of it. We have the very talented programmers and creative people here at ACF to thank for the stream overlays and all these wonderful buttons that I get to butcher clicking. But all of these graphics that you see here are made by the ACF team, I think maybe with the exception of the map. Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. This has been a dream to do, and I see no... our leading Porsche has disappeared. Have they disappeared to the pits? But we're down to 13 cars. So what happened with Wall? Oh, boy. Okay. It doesn't... Yeah, I don't see any cars in the pits, so he may have had a disconnect. That throws a wrench in things. So I guess... Yeah, we have a change for the lead. Not exactly how you want to see that happen, but the dominant driver of the race, the Porsche has vanished out of thin air, it seems. Goodness. Okay. Well, that's very unfortunate. Huh. I'm at a loss for words. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Goodness. But yeah, Convertini, your new leader. He might be questioning what in the world just happened, same as I am. He doesn't have the bird's eye view that we have here in the commentary booth. But yeah, gosh. Okay. Dang. That's unfortunate. But yeah, okay, so your new leaders, Convertini, Schultz, Romanowski. We've got an hour, 5 minutes left to go in this race. That means we're 25 minutes into it. So right around a third of the way through, our top driver, pole sitter, has vanished into thin air. That's something you don't see every day. I mean, you see it oftentimes with back markers, but very rare that your pole sitter and dominant leader of the race just drops out of it. Huh, okay. Well, the race does go on. Sheriff in the Dodge Viper is trying to chase down the Aston Martin of Klein, that Watt Racing number 197. A very, very aggressive move down into the braking zone and makes it really, really clean, almost entirely within the braking zone. Had him passed before they even started the turn in. And so Sheriff now moves into 5th place in his Dodge Viper. And now he has his sights set on Russell in the Corvette. But I would say Klein is not done yet. This battle will continue. If you have anything to say about it, Klein. But it's rapidly becoming a 3-way fight as both of these drivers are now catching Russell. Russell had pretty good pace, but I think these guys, usually whenever you're battling against somebody, it makes you, it makes you both slower. But I think since the pass, I think the Viper was just naturally a bit faster, and Klein seems to be benefiting from following. So now it is a 3-way fight, and Sheriff is knocking on the door of the Corvette. So let's hop on board with the Viper. Team Siazu, a name perhaps fitting of racing here at Shanghai. I'm not sure its origin. But here we are on board with the Viper going up against the Corvette. You can see down to 2nd gear here. You can see the different way that they take those lines. This is very similar here, but a little bit more to the outside, trying to gain a little bit of extra straight line speed as they go here onto the longest straightaway. 260 kilometers an hour, 270. He's in the draft, 280 kilometers an hour, bouncing off the rev limiter. Let's see how we do. Oh, really, really hard, aggressive move into the corner, and he was able to get ahead. But will he be able to make it stick? The Corvette is glued to the back of the Viper. Absolutely glued. Oh, it's German. Okay, good to know. Thank you very much, chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, 3-way battle here for the lead as Klein now involves himself very actively, knocking on the rear fender of the Corvette. All very close, all very good racing, all very physical. Some tremendous driving, just to be able to stay off of each other, and keep each other out of the wall as they race so close there. It's like a ballet almost. And we're checking in. Autocam says we're going to check in on Bunch here, who's currently sitting about 20 seconds away. So we're not going to do that. We're going to hop back on to this battle here. And again, it's going to take us off of here. And we're going to hop right back on because this is quite the interesting race. The Viper got a little bit upset on the curb. The rear tire did not like going over that curb the way it did as he turned in. About a 0.4 second gap between Russell and Sheriff. We've seen a lot of moves be made here at this very braking zone. Will we see one here? I think there was the appetite for one, but there wasn't the ability on either side. Just nobody had the chance. But the Corvette through that complex has now caught the Dodge Viper again. And again, Klein, do not count Klein out of there. Just had a 2-minute flat lap time. And is very much still in this 3-way fight. The two Americans and a Brit walked into a bar. Looking at these cars here is very much an American fight for fourth place, and then we've got the lovely Aston Martin there right behind. These drivers are certainly putting on a show for us all today. We are 30 minutes into the race, which means we've got an hour to go. An hour minus a minute to go, to be exact. And so that means in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, we're going to start seeing drivers start to look at taking their mandatory pit stops. And I say mandatory. I don't know if they would throw you out if you didn't take it, but you wouldn't finish the race because the fuel consumption is set on the server such that there is no way to finish the race without taking a pit stop. So all of these drivers are going to have to prioritize one pit stop at least somewhere in the bunch. Here we are. You're on board with Klein, who is now having his best shot at catching up to Russell. And yeah, look at that. Whoa, a hard dive bomb. Almost goes into the back of the Dodge. Oh man, and it does not pay off for Klein. I got a frog in my throat from my excitement on that move. Goodness, that was bold. It was almost very stupid. It was definitely bold. It would have been really smart if it worked, but unfortunately, it did not quite work. But Klein is working really hard at regaining the time that he lost. And it looks like he's about 0.6 seconds back, and that's fluctuating as they go through these tight S's, and the time tracking doesn't exactly know what to do with it. But yeah, about 0.6 seconds back from the Corvette of Russell, who is locking his tires. Yeah, tire degradation is definitely a thing that these drivers are going to be feeling now. They have been using all of the tire, as we have seen. Very much so, as we have seen. So let's pop around a little bit. Here is Clock Sweet Spot Racing in the big BMW M8 GTE. It's about 4 seconds back. And Amaker dropped back a few. We saw that saga, but he's kind of settled into 7th place. He's pretty comfortably in that bracket. We can see Sheriff is starting to win the race in terms of running away from Russell at the moment. And I don't know if Russell has gotten slower. You can certainly see a little bit more tire locking going on there. But Klein has gotten back close enough to be dangerous again to Russell. Although he had a pretty poor corner exit there. But yeah, he's about, looks like a third of a second back, thereabouts, from Russell. Oh, and there's a sudden change for, our first pit stop. Maj comes in for a pit, and that is your first one. Drops down from, I think he was in 9th. And so yeah, take your screenshots of the pre everything grid, because it's about to shuffle. And so I guess with that, it's a good opportunity. Let's go through our top 5. Convertini is leading the race so far in the Ford GT LM GTE after the Porsche of Wall disappeared from the server. May have had a disconnect and just has not rejoined, or we may have had some other issue, some conflict that took him out, but it was very sudden. And then Schultz is in second place. Romianowski is in third in the Ferrari. Sheriff is in fourth. Russell is in fifth, and challenging that is Klein in sixth. Still your closest battle of the race so far. If I am Russell in that Corvette, number 80, I am looking in the next few laps to take my pit stop and get new tires. And whoa! Klein spins all on his own. Yellow in sector 1. Wow. There's no contact on that. Just going into the turn, just ended up losing the rears. And like I was talking about, tire degradation is becoming very much a thing. You do not have the grip by now that you had at the start of the race, and you still have to make these tires last for a few more laps at the very least before you get to turn 90-minute race. So we would assume that you would pit around the 45-minute mark. And so we're at the 52-minute mark at the moment. And so we're about 7 minutes away from the midway point of the race. And so in the next 7 minutes, you're going to see a lot of drivers start to at least look at taking their pit stops. I'm sure some drivers are going to, especially if they've really used up a lot of their tires at the start, like it seems Klein might have, they might be more inclined to they might be more inclined to take the pit stop a little bit earlier. But if you are Convertini, let's say, and you got everything going for you, or maybe you're Schultz, there is no harm in just staying out longer and longer and then taking that a little bit later. The latest pit stop you can get can be a good strategy. Got to say, the Coca-Cola livery on the Porsche. I know the Porsche 911 GTE had run in a Coca-Cola livery, but I will say, I really do like this one. It's quite striking. You can see something's going on here. Wolf has caught up with Krzysztof. Wow, had a really interesting way of taking that corner there. See, we're on board with Wolf, ISC Racing, Aston Martin. And he's got the overspeed on Krzysztof. They're side by side. Krzysztof has the inside line going into that, though. Wolf locks the tires. Isn't quite able to pull the move off. That's the battle for 11th. We've had two drivers go out of the race so far. We started with 15. We have 13 now. One was your leader, Wall, and then another one was a pretty early retirement. Yeah, the current leader now, Convertini. I would imagine that he's feeling pretty good right now because he is 4.5 to 5 seconds ahead of Schultz. Although that's, again, as we go through these S's, that's going to fluctuate wildly. And he is just trucking along. I believe he's the sole Ford GT LM GTE, and I learned something interesting. I haven't found a verifiable source on this yet, but I read that the restrictors that they used on the Ford GT to balance it with the rest of the cars created a Venturi effect into the turbochargers for the like in the engine bay, that they very nearly reached that the airspeed going into the turbochargers very nearly reached the speed of sound. So poor GT had to be careful not to create a sonic boom inside of the car, which I don't want to know what mechanical issues that might have caused. But yeah, that was the thing about the Ford GT was they really made a race car first and then made a road car second, and it was so overbuilt for even the GTE class that they had to rein it in that hard. That the restrictors ended up so small that it made such a Venturi effect. But yeah, I haven't found like multiple viable sources on that, but I was reading a blog and I read that and I was like, that's really cool. And I didn't have time to like double check it. So if anyone has any more information on that, drop it in the chat because I want to know more about that. Or if they're like, oh hey, no, this was like a dumb like chain email, you fell for it, boomer, or whatever, sure, whatever. I want to know that too. Not a whole lot of close racing action going on right now, but we are very nearly to the midpoint of the race, and only one driver, Maj, has taken their pit stop yet. I imagine. Oh, we've had an incident. Klein, it looks like spun or otherwise had some sort of an off at the last corner, turn 16, and loses the position to Klock and Hammaker, I think. And so that's Klein, the Aston Martin, down into 8th place. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Now, Klein has pace, but yeah, I think we're running into more and more tire degradation issues as we go on. Now, these drivers currently, let's look at the lap times. We're still running several cars still running under 2 minutes. So as we said, sub 2 is a really good time here. 2 minutes was the fastest any actual real-world GTE car ever went around Shanghai. Bunch, number 196. Bunch, who you're on board with, takes their mandatory pit stop, as does Wolf, the two Aston Martins back here. Convertini, still no pit stop from either him or any of the other drivers in the top 5. And it looks like of the 3 drivers who have taken their pit stop so far, Maj comes out ahead of Bunge and Wolf. I believe one of those is for position. Looking back at the chat, Necrodogs says, cold tires is a thing with these cars. Ask me how I know. Absolutely right. And there's no tire warmers in this formula that we're using. And so these cars who have just come out of the pits, they're on cold tires. As you can see, one run wide. They're on the corner exit in the S's. Yeah, so that's a new factor as well as we go through the second half of this race with these drivers taking their pit stops and then rejoining is cold tires. And with drivers rejoining with cold tires, sometimes that can create rolling roadblocks and obstacles that the drivers who are still on flying laps have to make their way around. Coming into the pits now is Christoph, number 423 Ferrari, coming in from 10th place. Hodge passes Christoph in the pits, to be expected. Now here, I'm showing in the timing tower the stint time, and of course it's going to want to jump back over to lap time. I'm showing here the stint time. You can see all of the drivers who have not taken their first pit stop, and all the drivers who have taken their pit stop. Maj has been out for about 10 minutes, Bunge about for 2 minutes. Christoph just came out about 20 seconds ago. Bunge and Wolf just both had offs at the same time. We did talk about how they had cold tires coming out, but we're well past that now. And Wolf is just full-on off-roading here at the back of the grid. And I believe Klein now has come into pit. So that's, I think, the first Watt Racing car of that team to pit in. So I would guess that we might see any other Watt associated drivers starting the same. I'll say of the entry list, there was certainly a lot more drivers there than did start, and so I feel a little bit less bad about missing a few drivers because I don't remember exactly which ones I missed, but I'm gonna guess that there might not have been all of the drivers that I did miss. They might not all be here today. So hey, we'll just count that as a potential blessing and not think about it much more. Schultz running a very quiet race here at the moment. Taking a look at the overall, he is 4.5, 5 seconds back from the leader. And taking another look over here, back to the mid-pack, we've had a lot of interest and intrigue here. Some beautiful sounds coming out of the M8 GTE as it smokes on by the camera there. This is our closest fight so far, about half a second away from Amateur coming into the... Whoa! We got a spin! We got a car off. Who is that? Who is that? That's Bunge. Spun, made himself a very wide obstacle there on turn 1. And we saw those drivers deftly maneuver. But yeah, we've got shaping up to be a good fight here. This is Clock and I don't know if it's Hamaker or Hamature. I'm not sure. I'm going to alternate between the two, so I'm right half the time. Hamaker set a 2-minute .538 last lap. Clock set a 2-minute .379. So these drivers are very much on pace with each other, but the driver behind is a little bit faster than the driver ahead, at least at this moment. And now if I'm Clock, I would want to take very defensive lines right now, because this corner that they're coming up to at the end of this big long straight has been where we have seen the most passing by far. And yeah, look at that. Running very, very defensively. And, whoa, outbraking, but at what cost? Clock getting very, very brave with it. And he retains the inside line and carries a lot of speed through here. So it looks like he was able to pull it off for the moment, but I think that now Hamaker has the inside line and he's going to take the position back from Clock. And BMW taking a very, very wide line, cutting in. Again, that corner tightens, and so he was taking a very good line there. Hamaker taking a very defensive line as they go through the first sector S's. And then it's wanting to take us off of that battle, but I'm not wanting to take us off of that battle. Yeah, there we go. Got it off in Sector 2, which these drivers are approaching. And I think that's cleared up by the time they got there, so that's good. But yeah, another pass from the BMW. The question is, can he make it stick? That's been the challenge thus far. Going through these S's, I feel like favors the Aston Martin a little bit more than the BMW. The Aston Martin's just a little bit more nimble. The BMW M8 is a huge car. The memes are true. And that does make it a little bit less maneuverable. And here as they come down the straightaway, I'm going to go F6 cam on board. You're on board with Hamaker, Tradition Sim Sport, number 90 car. And the BMW is yet ahead and yet gaining, and a hard hit on the sausage curb means a pretty rough hit, but he's still making good pace. Fastest delta through there. That's the fastest he's gone of any recorded fast lap. And look at the BMW running way wide and then cutting in, definitely going for the late apex move, which I think if you have that BMW, like I said, less nimble, that's probably the move. Whereas the Aston Martin is a little bit more able to hug a curve that tightens a little bit more easily and carry a little bit more speed. And it's going to rip us away and show us a Dodge. We have another Dodge Viper coming into pit. Johnsick has now come in. And Klein passes Johnsick in the pits. Has Klein taken his pit yet? He has. So that is for position. So far, everyone 7th and above has not taken their pit stop yet whatsoever. And everyone below that has. Maj now passes Johnsick for position. And whoo, a lap. Convertini now laps the lap down car of Johnsick, who just comes out of the pits. Again, cold tires. There's going to be no competition there. So he gives him the space to get around him. Take a look back at the gap. See if there's any close driving going on right now. And I don't think there is. Hamaker, I think, has lost a little bit of pace to the BMW. As we said, yeah, the BMW has more speed. BMW last time hit a 2:01, and the Hamaker Aston Martin 2:01.1. So definitely expecting clock, who is, whoa, no, gone off. Oh, wow, that was not expected. Consistency is key, and if you go off, you're going to lose your position. And so now the battle's back on. I was just talking about how Clock had pace to get away from Hamaker, but all that gets negated if you can't keep the car on track. And so now the battle is back on. Hamaker has to scrub some of the grass and dirt and dust and all that off of the tires. That's going to slow him down, but once he gets that pace back, oh, Hamaker's going to have to do some defending. Here we are. You are on board with the Clock Sweet Spot Racing number 46 BMW as he tries to catch back up to the Aston Martin. You see some locking of tires, lots of smoke flying And here we are. The fight's back on. Meat's back on the menu, boys. What a race this has turned out to be, guys. Here we are into the braking zone. He's looking on the inside, trying to fill the mirrors of the Aston Martin, but does not make a move. But he also kind of shoots himself in the foot a little bit because that was very much not in the ideal line. And whoa! He totally locks it and triggers a sector yellow for a split second there. Yeah, pace is good, but consistency and pace are important as well. Here you're looking at the second place, or by the... I've just noticed the onboard doesn't say second, it says tooth. So in tooth place, Lucas Schultz of Tradition Simsport in the white and red Porsche. And then now we're showing Bunge, Heroes and Furious. Let's see. Pop back in with our leader, Convertini. He is on the journey to lap cars. And I'm seeing... What am I seeing? I am seeing a Viper and a Porsche. There was some jockeying around there, but that is not for position. That is Lucas Schultz in that Porsche. Who was, I think, making his way around Johnsick there, but just in very flamboyant style. I don't know. Oh, hey, this is big. Our leader, Convertini, pits in from the lead. Lucas Schultz passes him in the pits. Schultz, less one pit stop that he is required to take, but... yeah, our first of our leaders pitting, Convertini. A good bit later than I thought that we were going to wind up. We are almost 30 minutes to go in this race. We have really made it by an hour. We've made an hour seem like half an hour, I'll tell you what. Klein runs wide. Saw the remains of the smoke there in the background, right as we switch to him. Clock takes his pit stop, and I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more up to this point, but it does look like the strat that most of the leaders have adopted is a little bit closer to what I was saying earlier, of waiting as long as you can go. Stretch your tires as much as you can, stretch your fuel as long as you can, and that way, whenever you refuel, you don't have to put as much fuel in for the remainder of the race. So you end up spending less time with more fuel weight in the car than you would if you just fueled up right at the 45-minute mark. Now, of course, if you cooked your tires at the beginning, it would have been more prudent to go and take your pit stop earlier. But that notwithstanding, this is the better move. And we're seeing Clock now come out of the pits. And so that battle with Hammaker is going to be... Whoa! Cold tires! BMW drifting in Shanghai there. Got the good helicopter crane cam view of that drift. At least he saved it. But man, that was... You know what? Points for style, if nothing else. But yeah, let's take a look at our stint times. Schultz, Romanowski, Sharif, and Russell. Russell dives into the pit lane. Sharif is in the pits. Yeah, so we've got multiple drivers coming in, taking their pit stops. There's one more diving in there. That was an Aston Martin. Was that? Yeah, okay. Hammaker comes in and pits from 5th. And so now we have gone from most of your leaders not having taken their first pit stop to only Schultz and Romanowski have not taken their pit. So they will need to. And so doing a little bit of pit stop shuffle mathematics, that means that Convertini, still your leader. Russell is in second, and then I think it's a toss-up on where Schultz, Romanowski end up coming out after they take their pits. But we have now several very quick drivers back out on track with very cold tires to go. Yeah, we're under the 30-minute mark left in this race. And so if there's any moves that you're needing to take, if there's any, strategy things of like, hey, I'm going to switch this into high gear, whatever the heck, that's where we're going to see him. Hey, here's Schultz coming in from first place into pit. Romanowski now the one odd man out, and there he is coming in to take his pit stop and locking the tires. Those very, very tired tires as they come in. Those lasted over an hour in this race, which GTE cars, I'm surprised that the fuel lasted as long as it did for all those drivers who waited as long as they did. There's Convertini having now passed the pit box, now passes those drivers in the pits. He is now officially back on top, back in the lead, ahead of everyone else by a margin of not a whole lot. Schultz came out really, really close, actually, to Convertini. That makes the battle for the lead a bit more interesting as we come down to the last 20-some-odd minutes of the race, because that gap was about 6 seconds before, and so Schultz either took a short pit or Convertini ended up taking a longer pit, or just had a harder time with his outlap. And now we've got a bit of a more interesting battle for the lead. He's within a second dipping down. Let's go on board with our Porsche, Lucas Schultz. Number 54, Tradition Sim Sport. Both drivers locking some tires, which, hey, they've got fresh tires. They can afford to do that a little bit more now. Although it's not really that you want to afford it. You don't gain anything by it. I suppose it's just insurance. Coming down the straightaway, 281 kilometers per hour. Right before the braking zone here on the longest straightaway, I think on the calendar. Don't quote me on that. I think there might be one other that's longer, but it's escaping me at the moment. Down into first gear here, Lucas Schultz on that hairpin. I've not seen that very much in the onboards that we've seen. Most of them have dipped down to a low second, but that's the first time I've seen him dip in, first time I've seen a driver dip down into first gear in that hairpin. Interesting choice. These drivers I don't think are for position. Yeah, definitely not. That's Romanowski sitting in third, who's ahead. Let's look at Sharif, I've hit a wrong button. Sharif had an off. We showed him for a moment going through some dust and dirt. He's back on track again. Yeah, here is your battle for the lead here. currently our closest fight going on. And yeah, you see both drivers really using 110% of the brakes and tires coming down from that 280 kilometer an hour straightaway. Wolf has had an off. Again, not sure what it was. Probably just ran wide, I bet. Back to Schultz and Convertini. Romanowski has had an off. That's much more interesting, and that's a much bigger off. That's at turn 1. And that's going to slow him way down. And I will bet you that was locking the tires and then having a spin. Now he was the last to take his pit stop, but I think his tires should have warmed up by now. Yeah, he's 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes 45 seconds into his stint. And so I don't think that would have been a cold tire issue, but it may have still been a cold brakes issue. Those can take a little bit longer to heat up. Sometimes. I don't know actually how it is on these specifically. I haven't driven the AC Friends GTE cars, I think, at all. And all of their work is very, very custom, very good, very custom. You can see the last lap times. We had been talking about 1 minute 58s, 1 minute 59s. At one point, over half the grid was under 2 minutes. Right now, only Convertini and Schultz are under 2 minutes. Everyone else is over 2 minutes. Well, okay, nope, with the exception of Klein and Clark. Those two are under 2 minutes. But everyone else, so there's 4 drivers total who are under 2 minutes. And so Klein has pace, Clark has pace. The gap, though, Klein, actually, 1.4 seconds back from that Aston Martin. We may see a rematch here of the Aston Martin to Aston Martin battle that we saw in the first third of the race between these two drivers. Gaps. Yes. But yeah, so these drivers are really, really nailing the art of putting on a good show for us. Because they're now within a second of each other, and you can see that dipping down into the 0.7, 0.8 range in the hairpins. And there we go, dipping down into 0.5. So he is gaining, although it gets really squirrely there. Klein had a very loose moment going into, what was that, turn 7? Actually coming out of that turn. Now it's a proper fight. Schultz also, I cut back to Schultz for just a second. Schultz also is getting within a second of Convertini. Romanowski has had another off. Oh, that's tricky and a really. I think the cameras kind of compressed that rejoin. I don't think it was as hairy as it looked on camera, but yeah, Romanowski had an off there on the final corner. Look at that! A lot of slip angle there from Romanowski's Ferrari. That is not looking like a very fun car to drive at the moment. He's had a few spins since coming out of the pits. He was the last driver to take his pit stop, and so he's the one with the freshest tires. But again, we're well past the point of getting tires warmed up, and usually that would be a an understeer issue if it was that. Johnsick a collision. Johnsick a hard collision, perhaps. An off at a very tough spot to go off. He's going to lose a ton of time there. That's where it's most important to get a good exit. And it looks like he spun himself maybe even into the wall. Oh, we've got a trade for position here. As I was distracted by crashes, Klein passed Harmaker. Losing my voice. I need some water. Yeah, these Aston Martins are really battling it out. Look at Harmaker taking that very, very unique line, trying to get every little bit of advantage on Klein. But yeah, we cut back right as they were alongside each other. We didn't see the attempt, but we have definitely seen how it has turned out. Klein is now ahead of Harmaker for 6th position. Let's go on board with the chasing Harmaker. You can hear the shift noises. Down here, I think he was a little bit too far away to make a move, but there was some locking of the fronts from the car in front. And I don't think he was really able to capitalize on it in the way that he might have wanted to. But gets a very, very good exit. Look at the delta going down. He's got a faster time going in here than he did on his fastest lap. That's what that means. We cut to. We cut somewhere I didn't want to cut. There we are. Whenever you see those trails of smoke coming out of the front of the car, again, that's those GTE cars lacking ABS. These drivers locking the fronts. It does not win you anything, and it's not it's not some cheat code or anything to go faster. It only ever slows you down. But whenever I talk about there's some insurance there, whenever they're on fresh tires, the way that these guys are on much fresher tires than they were before they came into the pits with, you can do that a little bit more. You can push a little bit past your limit and go right up to your limit more comfortably without, super fear of going super far past it. Whenever your tires aren't terribly flat spotted, whenever you haven't locked the fronts, whenever your tires aren't so worn down that it does so much damage. But again, that kind of stuff adds up really quickly. And you see these drivers, just 1, 2, and 3, all of them see that tire. You just saw that tire just stop. That's not good. You don't want to do that. That's definitely something you don't want to do. And that's something I haven't seen so much from our leaders, and I think that's why they're in the lead. They're really able to manage these tires and these brakes a lot better. And that has kept their cars faster over a longer period of time. If I cut back to show the lap time, you can see you've got a few more drivers who are currently running under 1 minute 59, under 2 minutes, right? But all of your leaders are running low 1 minute 59s, even after, also showing the stint time here, 17 minutes since they came out of the pit. So they're almost 20 minutes on those tires, and they're doing all right still. Now, if you look at the gap again, you can see, and you can also just look at your screen, Schultz has caught up with Convertini, and you can see the car behind there. That's a lap down car, Joncic. He's running in 10th. He's not in the competition for the lead right now. Yes, quite a good race going on, such that we have 13 minutes left to go of this 90-minute race, and we still have drivers that after a pit stop and all that are within a second of each other for the lead of the race. And this is without any, extra trickery or slowdown. This is proper sim racing and just racing to the absolute limit of what these cars can do. And these guys are just really good at it. So this is some fantastic driving. Really, really good stuff here. Hammaker is off that Aston Martin. Again, we've been seeing those Aston Martins lock the crap out of their tires. This one, and that's not an Aston Martin, but we've been seeing a lot of the mid-pack locking their fronts, but we've just followed these guys almost an entire lap around the circuit. I think a full lap around the circuit, and you're pretty much not seeing any smoke coming from the tires, except maybe very occasionally. And that is what makes a GTE driver a good GTE driver. It really does come down to the brakes. That's the biggest difference between a GTE car and a GT3 car in practice. Whoa! I say that though. Convertini ends up sliding in the braking zone, totally loses the rear end. That wasn't losing the front with locking the brakes or anything. That was losing the rear end. I think throwing it around so much. And they are side by side coming down the straightaway. And it is anybody's game, but it's looking like it might be Schultz. Convertini takes a very defensive line on the inside. 11 minutes, 30 seconds to go, guys. And we have a new leader, Lucas Schultz, number 54. Wow. All Lucas Schultz had to do was just capitalize on the mistake. He didn't have to do anything fancy or anything special. Joncic ends up spinning behind the leaders. At least it wasn't in front of the leaders, I suppose. But yeah, Schultz now about half a second ahead of Convertini. It wasn't that he was like on par to catch him and pass him, but now that he's got him, he's a good bit, he's doing all right. But I say that Convertini had a really, really good run out of that last corner and has now caught up pretty well. We've got two battles going on right now. Sheriff in the other Dodge Viper, the one that didn't spin a moment ago, is now has now caught up to Russell in the number 80 Corvette, and they're having a battle for fourth. So two fights going on at the moment. One for fourth and one for first. And it's anybody's game on which one is going to bear fruit first. So we're going to cut between the two as they get interesting. Sheriff and Russell right now is a little bit tighter, but not by a whole lot. Sheriff taking a wide line, trying to get some overspeed. Let's take a look at the speed differential. You're on board with the Dodge Viper of Sheriff. really pushing that Viper V10, trying to go around the outside, it looks like. And I don't think that's the winning move around that corner. All the passes we've seen have been from the inside, but he may have been trying to get himself set up for the inside of this corner, but nonetheless, it did not pay off. And they're coming up on the, let's see, Tyson Performance. That's Christoph sitting in 11th. Is that Ferrari up ahead of them. So that's just lap down traffic that they're going to have to catch. And whoa, the Viper gets upset and does a little bit of a slide. That didn't look super dramatic from here, but if you're in the car, that's incredible car control to be able to save that from becoming a spin. Yeah, if you've been behind the wheel of these cars, you know that is impressive. Oh, looks toward the inside. And got a little bit too ambitious, had to slam on the brakes to keep from colliding. Good racecraft to be able to know when you've been bested and get out of it. No harm in looking for the gap. Convertini and Schultz is hotting up, coming down again to this same corner where there's been a lot of passing. And there we go. Both of them are getting impatient. Both locked their fronts, trying to outbrake each other and get the advantage. Sheriff back here, the Dodge Viper and Corvette, the American cars, really battling it out. We've got 3 American makes here: Chevy, Dodge, and Ford. Man, if Romianowski weren't in between them, we'd have all 3 of them together on the timing screen. I'd be a proud, happy American. Here's a proud, happy American as these guys side by side going into this corner. Oh, and they get into the back of each other. Russell goes into the back of Sheriff, but I'm not sure he really saw him until he was right there. Sheriff kind of pulled off a dive bomb, but it worked. It was effective. And they both got out of there facing the correct direction. And so I think I'm just going to call that good, hard racing there. Sheriff was able to put his nose into the inside and then just let the rest of it sail in there. And I think Russell, more than anything, just wasn't expecting him to be there all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, there he was. Convertini here, still chasing down Schultz. Convertini was in the lead for so long since Wall disappeared, vaporized, vanished into the ether, giving Convertini the lead. Convertini dominated much of the race, but we've got only 6 minutes, 20 seconds left to go in this race, and Convertini has been passed by Schultz a few laps ago, and he has not been able to recover just yet. Schultz locking the fronts really hard. Convertini with a really good-looking corner there. The gap is almost a second, though. Let's see here on the straight if it widens or lessens. It looks like it is widening, but not by much. Only a couple hundredths as they've gone on. Maybe a tenth. And Convertini now dropping back a good bit. I think trying to be very calm. I think he maybe cooked some tires, cooked some brakes a little bit, having to pull back a little bit more now. Again, 5 minutes left to go. Definitely not the time to rest on your laurels and just relax if you're going for the lead, but also you don't want to push so hard that you end up colliding with each other and taking each other out. We saw Sheriff and Russell very nearly have that same incident, but you know that could have turned out a whole lot worse than it did. Darnicke in the comments says, much glazing for Andy from SBD. So Andy in third has been running a good race, but has definitely had a few spins, few incidents. on his own, but nonetheless, running in third is a good result if he can pull this off. I think he's doing well. Schultz and Convertini again coming back around here. This corner really has been the most interesting. If you go to the Shanghai Grand Prix, this is the corner to buy tickets at. I'll tell you what, because this is where all the action is happening. What? Schultz goes just straight off into the grass, just totally misses the corner exit. Thank goodness for him that there's runoff there, because it just did not turn there. He may have hit there's a curb on the inside there. He might have hit it, upset the car, and just found it more prudent to just go straight off. But that was not super. That was not super. Goodness. He did seem to, if anything, gain a little bit of time. Not much. Not anything meaningful over the course of the race, but it didn't slow him down. Whoa! Convertini gets really loose going around there, slides the rear, and that will slow you down. That's not what you want to do here as we've gone into the last 3 minutes of the race. Convertini now watching his chances at the win slip away as Lucas Schultz pulls away a minute. Pardon me. A second and a half trailing now from Lucas Schultz as we hit the 3-minute mark, 2:40 now. Hammaker has an off there at turn 2, I think that was. There in the S's. But back to our leaders. Here we are coming down the straightaway. Let's take a look on board. Here's Lucas Schultz. You know, if you don't look at your mirrors, it's a nice clear track. He doesn't have really any lap traffic that he's going to run into between now and the end of the race. It's going to be pretty clear skies for Lucas Schultz. His only problems are what's behind him, and I don't think he's looking at what's behind him. Now here's the view from Convertini. He's got his eyes glued on Lucas Schultz, of course, who you can really only see at the corner of your eye here as they go through the S's here. And look at him hugging the very inside of that corner. That is the line through there. Especially if you're a more maneuverable car. I think the BMWs and such are more likely to kind of go around the outside. The gap is 2 seconds and growing now. Yeah, last minute of the race. Let's see where we are at on track. Lucas Schultz has the straightaway and the hairpin to go after this complex of corners. 38 seconds. This might be the very last lap of the race, depending on where they go. I think in 30 seconds from here to the finish line. I think Lucas Schultz is weaving back and forth in a little bit of celebration here. Convertini, 2 seconds back. Close enough that if Schultz were to make a mistake, he could capitalize on it, but not really close enough to be dangerous. Clock and Hammaker there. Oh, let's see. They're getting close, but I don't think that's it. Convertini drops back quite a bit more as well. A few more tenths. And it looks like the checkered flag is out. It will be Lucas Schultz, number 54 Porsche, sliding and spinning across the line in style, doing the full 360 off the wall now. Lucas Schultz, your winner. Convertini in second, bringing it home for Hill Knight's performance. Romanovsky, he is in third place. I don't know why it's popped up. Johnsick? I don't think that's correct. Johnsick was a lap down. But Romanovsky in third. Sheriff in fourth. Russell in fifth. And that rounds out your top 5 there. I want to say congratulations to all the drivers. This has been a fantastic race here at Shanghai. 90 minutes, and boy, it sure didn't feel like it. Definitely lots of action throughout this race. Let's take a look at your leader, Schultz, who is having just a ball with that Porsche now that he's made it to the end of the race. Talk about collect pickup, right? And there he is, parks it alongside second place Convertini. Get your photos now. There they are. Your 2 cars on the podium. Romanovsky is the only one missing, and I think he might be coming up shortly. They're trying to figure out, hey, what's going on? And then, of course, the post-race sim racing shenanigans. Yeah, I do not know why Johnsick has shown up in third here. He's been a lap down for most of the race. It's showing him down here in P10, so I'm gonna trust that. Yeah, Romanovsky, P3. Your final standings. And yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but look at these drivers just having fun now. After the work, then you can play. Isn't that right? Good sporting, lads. Good sporting. Well, hey, I think that's about the end of it, folks. I want to say thank you for joining us here at Shanghai. This has been a tremendous race, and congratulations to our winners. Don't see anyone. Oh, I see. Okay, there we go. There's the podium lounge showing up. Let's bring in Luke Schultz, our winner, and Andy Romanovsky, second place. Third place, sorry. Hello, Luke. Excellent drive out there. Yeah, and congratulations on the win. Take us through that last battle with the Ford.
Hi, am I here?
Yeah, just...
Because you came in third and you're next, Andy.
No, Marco. But Marco is second, so you would begin with me, then go to Marco, and then go to Luke as P1.
Yeah, I've brought him in.
Oh, okay.
I brought him in.
Good evening, first of all.
Yes, good evening, gents.
I thought Marco was faster than me, but then the pit stop came and I wondered, Marco has gone 2 laps early in the pits. That means he fueled more than me and also accidentally fueled more, I don't know. And with that, I came like 1 second behind him out of the pits. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna lock in. And I did that. And I just got closer under tenths of seconds. So not very much, but each lap a bit and a bit and a bit. And then it came to that point where I was in the reaching distance and Marco made a mistake. That's where I made my strike.
Tremendous. Marco, how is it from your perspective? You led so much of this race. We had a disconnect of the previous leader of Wall. I want to ask you about the moment when you realized you were in the lead, because it did happen very unconventionally. What was that like?
Yeah, it took me a few rounds to realize, but I just told myself to focus on my race, not fuck anything up. I think I did that pretty well, at least in the first stint. And then the pit stop came. I miscalculated my fuel, so I took too much, and that hit like 3 seconds longer than necessary. And yeah, I guess unlucky for me, but still fantastic race. Yeah, congratulations to Luke for winning.
Yes, and congratulations to you on second place.
Yeah,
Andy, you had a very interesting time of third place. You were by yourself a lot. We saw some spins, and I kind of want to ask you about that. You were able to maintain your position through, I think, all of them, at least in the second half of the race. But tell me, what was going on out there?
Oh, I completely underestimated the double stint on the tires, and on the second one, plus when they got a little bit cold, you couldn't get them up to heat again. So from the second, after the pit stop, I had to fight with the tires. I was sliding constantly in nearly every corner. Yeah, spun out one time. I think that cost me 6.5 or 7 seconds, but yeah, still got third. I'm pretty, I wouldn't say happy. I'm also not satisfied with how I raced, but the result is good. The driving I did was definitely not.
I see. I can definitely see the tire issue, because I was up here in the booth like, there's no way it's tires. They've been out of the pits for so long. There's no way that it's cold tires. But okay, no, that makes a lot of sense if it actually was cold tires and they just weren't warming up. That checks out. Well, awesome. Congratulations to all of you guys. This is your podium of 3, and
yeah, pretty uneventful for all of us, except for P1 and 2 in the last couple of laps. But I think the rest of the grid had way more, not fun, but they had to battle a bit more than we did.
I'll tell you what, there were not too many dull moments here on the stream. We had fun over here, I'll tell you what. So yeah, I recommend you guys go back and rewatch some of the stream highlights, because it's really, really good stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, congratulations, you guys. I'm Cody. I will sign off. Andy, I'll hand it over to you so you can kill the stream and all that. But I will go on ahead and say goodbye, and congratulations, and we will see you guys for the next one.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to have you as a commentator, and I think we will definitely see us again in future events.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and have a good one. Adios.
Yeah, ciao.
Ciao.